my mentor in the law. It was a man who at one time was the most famous lawyer in America. I'm afraid the memory of his great victories and his talents is fading from public view. But his name was Richard Haynes. He was known as Racehorse Haynes, and he was a great criminal lawyer. I learned several things from Richard, but let me share an experience I had with him that tells you what the most important lesson I learned from him. We tried a case together down in Beaumont, Texas, in federal court, where the government had the audacity to accuse our clients of committing federal crimes. They were shipbuilders, and they had these massive, very large midstream fuelers. They'd go out in the middle of the Gulf Coast. They'd refuel a very large cargo carrier, a VLCC it's called. And the government had the temerity to say that we had designed it so that we could drain back 15% of the diesel fuel that we had just pumped out. Well, I took great offense at that. So did Racehorse. He had one brother. I had the other. I had the brother-in-law who was the ship designer. And they put on an expert. The expert was another shipbuilder who talked about the Coast Guard regulations that he felt he was their expert, that our guys had violated. And I cross-examined him, and I did okay. And then Racehorse cross-examined him, and the questions and the answers took on a resonance that you'd associate with great music, great symphonies. So that night I went to Racehorse's room. I knocked on the door, and there he was, as usual. Every night he would read the classics, mostly Cicero, who was the first defense lawyer. And I said, Racehorse, you got to tell me, I want to get better. I want to be as good as you. He was about 15 years older than I was. And he said, well, you did fine. He was always gracious, sucking on a pipe. And I said, no, I'm not kidding. Today showed me something. What did I do wrong? And he said, well, I don't think you were listening to the answers during cross-examination. And this is a lesson that every young lawyer should learn from if you're watching this video. He said, you got an admission from the witness that he himself had violated Coast Guard regulations, and you didn't hear it. Well, he said, I didn't hear the answer. I heard him say, it's not too late for you to get into pipe fitting. So Racehorse taught me, listen more carefully to those answers. And from that point on, every answer that I got became a springboard to another question. It enhanced my skill as a cross-examiner, which is at the heart of being a trial lawyer, 1,000-fold. What experience do I have that made me a trial lawyer? Very little to do with law school. It was high school debate and selling carpet with my brother. In high school debate, I learned to become skeptical about everything and to look at the source of everything you rely on and be able to tie whatever bald statement you're going to make to evidence to back it up. And in fact, we were on I was at Bel Air High School in Houston, and we won the national sweepstakes in 1960. My brother and I would go out, he and my father were in the carpet business, and we'd go into people's homes, and I listened to how Alan sold. He'd never walk away, almost never walked away without a sale. As opposed to Dad, who was sort of a high-pressure salesman, Alan would take his time, whatever time it took, and he'd hear the objections to whatever the potential customer had. The carpet is too high, it costs too much. Well, let's talk about that, Mr. Johnson. Why don't we, you're smoking. If you gave up cigarettes, wouldn't you, that would save you a certain amount of money and you'd be able to apply it toward the cost of the carpet. And what I learned was, pull the teeth on the worst arguments you face, the harshest arguments you face. Don't hide them under a rug. The Heart of Persuasion, which I've written about a great deal. I've written a book with a second edition on trial skills. And what I learned was, admit what your weakness is, because that shows you have a strong case and a belief in your case. And that's where I learned from my brother Alan and from Miss Molly, who was the tyrant debate coach.